is Michelle Seiler Tucker, and she is the founder and CEO of Seiler Tucker Incorporated. So, Michelle, first of all, thanks so much for coming on. Greatly appreciate your time.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me on.
All right. So, as a person that's a businesswoman such as yourself, how did you get into this buying and selling businesses? Because you've done this quite a few times, we'll just say the least.
Yeah, I've done it a little over 20 years. So I've always owned different businesses in different verticals.
Mhm.
And I actually had a franchise sales consulting and development business. And I was working with lots of different franchisors and partners with some as well. And I had so many buyers kept asking me for existing businesses, and I didn't have any existing businesses to buy. So I basically said, you know what? There's obviously a big market here. Let me start an M&A firm. And that's basically how I started over 20 years ago. So I transitioned from franchise sales into M&A.
So, Michelle, let's talk about this. Obviously, we talked about this a little bit in the introduction. COVID happened. A lot of these businesses shut down. I'm in Florida, with the tourist industry got hit extremely hard. You're in New Orleans, but I'm sure you work with people all over the country. The people that were coming to you for help in starting businesses, what were they saying to you throughout COVID? What were you seeing through those businesses?
Well, there's really the good and the bad, because not every business went out of business. Not
Right.
every industry was affected. There were lots of industries that were affected in a positive way. There are industries that have had their best year ever in business. And then you got the flip side of that, hospitality, a lot of hospitality, landscape businesses, a lot of different industries were affected in a negative way. So, unfortunately, many businesses have went out of business. Many are yet to go, about to go out of business, and they're barely holding on. But like I said, there are many industries that are doing great and thriving and having their best year ever. What I always say is you should always build your business to withstand any storm that might come your way. You're in Florida, I'm in New Orleans. That could be a hurricane. That could be a hurricane, a tornado, a pandemic. And the way you do that really is to have multiple revenue streams, not just one profit center, and to have sufficient working capital. A lot of these business owners, like let's take restaurants, for instance. Restaurants have one restaurant. They make money by people coming in and dining in or taking food out, dining out. That's it. Yeah. They have no other source of revenue, no other profit centers. And they can create other profit centers. They can have an e-commerce business.
Right.
So, and most of these restaurants have 1 month to 2 months of working capital. You need 1 year's worth of working capital, 1 to 2 years of working capital in your business at any given time.
Now, you did talk about how hospitality struggled. Obviously places like supermarkets hit huge. We talk about, and they're still talking about it right now. I know there was some Russian thing that it hit the meat packing plants, and now there could be a shortage on meat. So people are rushing into supermarkets to get meat. So I know supermarkets did well throughout the pandemic. What other businesses did you see that really hit big throughout the pandemic?
So anything home related hit big. So because people are not traveling, they're not going out to dinner. So therefore they have, income that they would typically spend on those type of things to spend on their home. So home remodeling, swimming pools spiked up, landscaping did spike up, residential landscaping spiked up. Commercial landscaping, especially commercial landscaping that caters to the hospitality industry, took a nosedive, because you got to think about when an industry takes a nosedive, you got to think about all the other industries that affects, right? So for instance, we have a manufacturing company that I'm not going to tell you what product because they don't really have competition, but we have a manufacturing company that caters to hospitality. Well, hospitality shut down, so they shut down. You got to think about everyone who sells to hospitality, all the vendors that provide supplies, they provide food, they provide alcohol, they provide furnishings, they provide services. All of their businesses shut down too. So it's like a trickle down effect, right?
Right.
But I saw a lot of anybody catering to the home business really spiked up, like glass companies, drawer companies, anything for home use. Also, education,
Mm.
online education. Zoom is worth billions now.
Right.
So, online education, online platforms really spiked up. Online workout facilities, like online, like, you already had P90, you already had, what is it? Beachbody, you already had
Right.
Beachbody, but then you have all these other ones like the Mara and everything else coming
Right.
out of the woodwork, and exercise equipment, home use exercise equipment, did really, really well. So grocery stores did big, Amazon always does well,
Right.
but grocery stores did really big. Um, Toilet paper probably had the
Yeah.
best years ever.
Toilet paper and paper towels. It's crazy.
Yeah, and
I
then
laugh at that.
sanitizer. You can't even buy. And there's a period of time, like I own another company and we like to buy
Mm.
promotional products. And we were trying to buy
Right.
sanitizer with our company logo on it. You can't even find sanitizer.
Crazy.
So all of that stuff, if you just start to think, but what people don't think about is when one industry fails, it's not just that industry, it's everybody else that supports that industry.
Well, I'm not going to go too much in politics, but the paranoia on the news of you got to go out and buy this, you got to go out and buy that, and people running to the stores, like you said, toilet paper, paper towels, sanitizer, meats. I mean, if you watch the news, you'll go berserk if you believe all that stuff after a while. But anyways, that's another topic for another day. Michelle Seiler Tucker here on Fire Breathing Rob. Michelle, let's kick this around. So a lot of the people that listen to this and watch this are young people in there, anywhere from 18 to 35, young entrepreneurs watching this. What advice would you give to them as far as growing up right now? Obviously, e-commerce, using the internet to get your product out is a huge thing that, back in even the early 2000s wasn't really a thing. Besides that, what would you tell somebody that's just trying to start a business and get their name out? How could you help them?
So first and foremost, every entrepreneur that's trying to start a business or buy a business needs to read my new book, Exit Rich.
Okay.
And you must read Exit Rich because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And when you're starting out, you have a clean slate. So you want to start your business the right way. You don't want to start it, make a bunch of mistakes, and then have to go back and fix everything. So first and foremost, you need to read Exit Rich. You need to build your business on what I call the 6 Ps, the 6 pillars, the infrastructure, the 6 Ps, because most businesses don't run on all 6 cylinders. They don't run on all 6 Ps. Also, before you just start a business, because the business landscape has changed dramatically, but before you start a business, you need to look around and ask yourself, what are the problems out there? What are the problems? And then come up with the solutions, be solution oriented. Let me give you some examples. Okay. When I wrote my very first book called Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth in 2013, I did the research back then and learned that all startups would go out, 95% of startups would go out of business within the first 1 to 5 years. We all know that, right? But when I wrote Exit Rich and started doing the research for Exit Rich, I learned that the business landscape has flip-flopped. It's changed dramatically. It's not startups at risk anymore. Only 30% of startups will go out of business now. Only 30%. But out of 27.6 million companies, those businesses that have been in business 10 years or longer, they are at risk of going out of business. They will go out of business. So now it flip-flops. It used to be startups were at risk. Businesses have been in business over 10 years are gold and they're going to be in business forever. That's not true anymore. You hear about the big public companies like Toys R Us, 75 years, goes out of business. GNC shuts down 900 locations. Godiva is shutting down 1,500 locations. Kmart, Steinmart. All these companies are going out of business, but you don't hear about the private businesses. They only talk about the public companies, right? So these private business owners are exiting poor. They're selling for pennies on a dollar, closing their business, or even worse, filing bankruptcy. Why is it important for y'all to know that? The reason it's important for y'all to know that is because the reason the business landscape has changed dramatically is because startups used to be, oh, I'm going to go start an ice cream store. There's already 10 ice cream stores on the block. I'm going to start a coffee shop. There's already 20 in a mile. I'm going to start a dry cleaners. And the problem is that these, I call them dreamer type business owners, dreamer type, entrepreneurs that really don't do their homework. And they just have that build it and they will come, like Field of Dreams mentality, and build it, they will come. And the problem is they don't come, or they might come for a little while, but then you're cannibalizing, the marketplace, and you're taking business from somebody else. So those businesses were going out of business, and are all going out of business. There's two reasons why this has changed so dramatically. Number one is business owners stop doing what I call AIM. AIM is AIM, always innovate and market. Business owners have been in business 10 years, get complacent. They stop innovating. Blockbuster, what did they do? They saw Netflix. They didn't do anything. They had opportunity to buy. Toys R Us did nothing new in 75 years. So these companies, that have been in business were sustainable. And then the startups were starting stuff that we already have. But because of the millennials, because of the generational X, these entrepreneurs are really innovative. They're looking around at problems, and they're going, oh, we need this. We need to solve this problem. We need to solve that problem. We don't need another ice cream store on the block. They're starting businesses to solve problems. They're innovative and they're marketing. That's why they're successful. Does that make sense? So what do I tell y'all? I tell my entrepreneurs, my young entrepreneurs, to look around, figure out what the problems are, come up with the solutions, do your homework, do your due diligence, align yourself with an expert who's already traveled the path you want to travel, because learn from their mistakes instead of making your own. And their path will, they'll shorten your path and your learning curve dramatically. Plus, I also am going to tell you to read Exit Rich, plan your exit from the beginning, because that's the number one reason businesses don't sell. Steve Forbes says 80% of businesses will never sell. 80% of businesses never sell because business owners don't plan their exit, and they don't build a business that a buyer actually wants to buy, because they build a glorified job in which to go to work at every day versus a business that works for them. So plan your exit from the beginning with my GPS exit model and build the infrastructure on the 6 Ps. Then you will have something that's sustainable that you can scale. And when you're ready, you'll be able to sell it one day.
Michelle, my question is, and this is a question that I've got, through people I'm friends with, through people that listen to the program, is they're extremely worried about Amazon and how big Amazon's gotten. Amazon owns Whole Foods. Amazon just bought MGM, so they're involved in Hollywood and movies now. It's almost like, in my opinion, Jeff Bezos is more powerful than Joe Biden is as the president of the United States. So my thing is, are you worried as a person that owns businesses, works with businesses, that Amazon has such a huge hold on the market, and they're not getting, loosening up their grip anytime soon? They're just getting even tighter.
So they're not going to loosen up their grip. And you're right. I mean, Amazon is Amazon, they're Amazon, they're giants, they're King Kong. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. But what I do see changing is, listen, whoever makes it easiest for the consumer to purchase products and services is the company that's going to win. Amazon is winning because they make it so easy to practically buy anything on Amazon and have it delivered in 2 days. And it's hard to compete with that. But, you see Walmart, you see Target. Walmart's competing, Target is competing. When this pandemic hit, so Amazon changed the way that consumers purchase products. Then this pandemic came around and they changed the way that consumers purchase products, because consumers used to purchase products, but not groceries online, right? Now they're purchasing groceries because nobody wants to go to the grocery store and, get the virus. So what did Target do? What did Walmart do? They stepped up. They put together a club, a Walmart club, a Target club, and they deliver groceries to your front door. Business is competition. You got to figure out your competitive edge. You got to ask your clients, what do you need? What do you want? How can I make it easier for you to do business with me? And it might not be e-commerce. It might be something different. My very good friend, Jeff Hoffman, he founded the airport kiosk because he was at the airport trying to catch a flight, an hour and a half in the line. He finally gets up gets up to the counter, and she hands him a piece of paper, and he misses his flight. And he's like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" He's just yelling at her. He goes, "I've been in this line for an hour and a half just for you to give me a piece of paper." And that's how the airport kiosk was born. He was looking at all the empty seats on planes, all the empty seats in hotels. And he said, and he found a Priceline. Oh, wow. So you got to look around. Don't just focus on Amazon. Look around, see what the problems are, like the airport kiosk, like the empty, empty seats. Look around, because there are problems all around us that need to be solved. And there are new problems that are born every single day. Look around. Don't focus on Amazon, because if you focus on Amazon, you're never really going to be able to create and be imaginative and, be the visionary that you can be if you just focus on Amazon and have tunnel vision. Does that make sense?
Let's keep going into the book, actually. So what made you want to write Exit Rich in general?
Well, two things, and I'll call statistics. Number one, because 80% of businesses don't sell. 8 out of 10 businesses don't sell. And it breaks my heart that baby boomers have invested their money, their life, their energy, their time, their effort, made huge sacrifices along the way, and missed out on their kids, missed out on experiences because they're growing their businesses, and then they're going to be left with selling for pennies on a dollar, closing a door, or filing bankruptcy. There is a better way. You need to build a sellable business that somebody will pay you huge money for, so that you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. And then when I found out that the landscape has changed dramatically and 70% of businesses will go out of business, I'm like, that can't be. You're going to have all these great businesses go out of business. And listen, there's 30.2 million businesses in the United States, employing over half the US workforce. If 70% of those businesses go out of business, we're going to lose jobs. You lose jobs. What happens when we lose jobs? We lose spending power. When we lose spending power, more businesses go out of business. So I wrote Exit Rich to help business owners to understand the logic, the fundamentals of business, regardless what industry you're in, and how to build your GPS exit from the beginning, how to build your business with the proper infrastructure in mind, because most businesses are not sustainable, they're not scalable, and they're certainly not sellable.
Michelle, my last two questions are, we hear a lot from young people that are just coming up about the minimum wage, working with a lot of businesses yourself, owning a lot of businesses yourself. They say that, it's the talk is the $15 an hour now. But regardless of the wage that whoever wants to present, what are you hearing from business owners? Because you have these small business owners that would probably struggle in some states with a higher minimum wage of 15 or 20 or whatever it may be, places that are, lower income states, regardless of that. But you also see some of these corporations that are making huge amounts of dollars, such as Amazon, Walt Disney World, where I am, Universal Orlando, who did raise their wage to $15 an hour. So are you hearing that the small business owners will more so struggle with that raise of the minimum wage than the higher businesses such as Amazon, Disney, Universal, Comcast?
Did you say Universal just raised their rates to 15?
Right, to 15, yes.
Did Disney?
Disney's at 14, but they're raising theirs to 15 in October.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, I know funny. People that are working for like $9 an hour at Disney. So a lot of small businesses are extremely nervous, about that. And all kinds of businesses, from ice cream stores to coffee shops to restaurants to dry cleaners to doctor's offices to chiropractic offices to dentist offices, because they just can't afford that. They can't afford that $15 an hour. And a lot of these, everybody says, oh, well, the business owner's making so much. That's not true. That's not true. And a lot of these small businesses, business owners are not making six figures like you think they are, and the owner should make more money. The owner is the one sacrificing everything. The owner is the one investing everything. They should make more money. But a lot of these small businesses are extremely concerned about it. And, some of the middle market businesses are concerned too. So here's what you're going to see happen. You're going to see more and more small business owners and even middle market get rid of people. lay people off, try to work with less people. They'll try to squeeze in 1099s or interns, or they'll go to technology and try to incorporate technology so you can get less people, like McDonald's. Instead of having someone take your order, they'll have a machine and you can punch your order in.
God,
And they're already starting that. They're already starting that. So when the government forces their hand and tells small business what they have to do and starts regulating small businesses and tells them that they have to do this and have to do that, small businesses are going to get creative. They're going to figure out how to survive. And that might mean employ less employees if that's what it takes, and invest in technology so that they can decrease their workforce and decrease their overhead, because employees is the biggest problem in any business, number one. It is by far the biggest problem. You can't run a business without employees, unfortunately. So many business owners try to, and then their business is not sellable. The first P in the 6 P's is people. So you got to have people. But here's the deal: we're selling a company for $70 million right now. They have 300 employees. They're spending $4.5 million on technology to cut their workforce in half. And a lot of companies are going to do more and more of that, like at McDonald's, like these smaller businesses. They're going to do more and more cutting technology. A lot of them will just close up and won't even stay in business.
So Michelle, what is the solution then? Because we're seeing the $300 a week. A lot of states are, cutting that back because a lot of people that were in the service industry jobs, such as you were speaking about McDonald's, Chipotle, whatever it may be, they weren't making that good of money while they were working. So, I know it's easier for a bigger business such as a Chipotle or a McDonald's to raise wages rather than that mom and pop small business.
And McDonald's is not going to, because you see, well, yes, it might be raising raises, but guess what else they're doing? They're cutting their employees back because they're incorporating technology. So yes, it might be raising raises for the people they're going to keep, but they're going to decrease their workforce significantly. You already see it coming, especially in other countries where, you have all this technology. Go through an airport right now, you see a lot less, even before the pandemic, you see a lot less wait staff because you order from your iPad. It goes to the kitchen. You go pick it up or they deliver it. You don't need somebody to sit there and take your order. So many companies, so many business owners are going to get really smart. And like I said, incorporate technology. Raises should be based upon performance, not based upon the government telling us what we have to do.
So what is the solution? Because I know you said about the raises, but I'm talking about the solution for, we have places like you said, McDonald's, and it's a disaster to go into these places and order off those machines. I mean, oh my gosh.
I know, I tried it.
Yeah, and then
you know what? It's a learning curve, Rob. I remember the first time I went into the bank, to Chase Bank, and they got rid of all the tellers. And even I'm business banking, and my business banker, that works the line, was over there helping people with the machines. So I'm like, oh, I'll never do this. And you know what? I didn't do it. I called Chase and said, you know what? I got a lot of money with y'all. Get me a freaking personal banker. They got me a personal banker. They set me up with a scanner, and I haven't been back to the bank since. But so we either adapt or we do something else. So we either adapt and figure out how to work the machines like we do in the airports. Remember the first time you tried to work a kiosk? So we either figure it out or we adapt, right?
But are you worried about, like, we hear all of this stuff, they're making robots in Japan and China. I was watching Fox News about 2 weeks ago. There was a restaurant in Miami that, because they couldn't hire anybody, and as a wait staff, like you said, they had a robot going to the tables. It was a little freaky for me, but regardless,
well, you're going to see more and more and more of that, because when the government's the government right now, people don't want to work because the government's paying them money, and they want to sit at home and collect their check. Yes or no?
Correct.
So it's very difficult to find people to work right now. Extremely difficult for people to find people to work right now. That's number one. Number two, Then they want to raise the minimum wage, and you get a substandard employee that you're paying $15 an hour to, and the owner can barely afford to pay their rent. So either something's got to give. The government's got to get out of our business. We pay taxes. Government's got to get out of the business. Stop giving handouts and give a hand up.
Yeah.
Stop giving handouts and give a hand up. Get people trained so they actually qualify for these higher paid jobs, right? And I'm not saying somebody can afford to live on $9 an hour. I get that.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a happy medium here where you're not forcing business owners to pay $15 an hour.
There was a talk when they were.
Am I making sense?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. There was a talk when they were going through, as far as the Democrats going through that $15 an hour, that there could be a government subsidy to businesses that couldn't afford that. Well, as a business owner yourself, what would be your opinion on something like that?
I just think the government needs to get out of business and leave us alone.
Right.
Again, when you start heavily regulating small business, when you tell us what we have to do, what we have to pay, look at the oil industry, the problem becomes that owners can't afford to stay in business. And okay, so now you're going to give them a subsidy. Okay, what does that look like?
Right.
What does that mean? And I just think it's a mess. Government they're not business owners, right?
A lot of people that I've talked to that are more on the progressive side say this to counterpoint, that say, if you pay somebody a good wage, they may work harder, they may be a better employee. What would you say back to somebody that says that?
I have no problem paying somebody a good wage. That's not the issue here.
No, right.
I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is the government saying you must pay $15 an hour,
right.
period.
Okay.
I think if somebody's doing a good job, they should get a good wage. They should get promoted. They should get raises.
Yes.
They should. But we shouldn't be, but I don't think the government should tell small business, you have to pay $15 an hour. You're going from 9 to 15, right?
Yeah.
What's the minimum wage now? Some states it's 7, right?
Yeah, that's bad.
7.5. That's a huge jump. That's a huge jump for small businesses to be able to survive. I believe that people should get raises. I believe that people should be able to make a living. I get that. I don't believe the government should tell business owners, oh, you're paying somebody 7.5, now you got to give them $15 an hour. That's a pretty big raise. Most companies don't give a $7 raise.
No. Well, I think Florida just raised it to 15 back in 2020 when they had the presidential, but it's a very, small increment amounts, like years. It takes like 5 or 6 years to get to 15.
Yeah, but you got some companies like Universal and Disney who can afford it, and that makes it tough for the small business owners who can't afford it to try to compete with a Home Depot or a big corporate or a public company, because they can't afford to get that $15 an hour. So they're going to have a very difficult time giving employees. And then that's why people are going to start incorporating technology. And then you're going to have even a bigger problem when you start incorporating technology and start laying off even more people.
Let's move to the end. So we did talk a lot about your book in this short period of time, and I do appreciate that. So lastly, as we tease it, Exit Rich is the book. Definitely go and check it out. As we end the interview, can you just tell us, Michelle, what you hope young viewers, certainly, because those are the people that are listening to this program more so than anything else, really learn from Exit Rich as we end?
Sure. And I want to tell your listeners about where to get Exit Rich and the value that they'll get if they buy it before the launch date. Sure. So Steve Forbes endorsed Exit Rich, and it's a gold mine for entrepreneurs, as entrepreneurs leave way too much money on the table. Sharon Lechter is my co-author, who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. So she is a CPA, financial literacy expert, and the advisor to many different presidents. And then Shark Tank, Kevin Harrington wrote the foreword to Exit Rich. So what can young entrepreneurs get from Exit Rich? Number one, I think young entrepreneurs are really going to be the lifeblood of this economy. Like I said, small business is the backbone of the economy, but so many small businesses are going out of business, unfortunately, and we're losing so many jobs. But young entrepreneurs are coming in and they're identifying the problems. They're solution oriented. They're figuring stuff out more so than business owners way before them. And so I think young entrepreneurs, obviously, what can they learn from Exit Rich? Well, they can learn business structure, how to build your business on the proper infrastructure, how to build a business that you can sustain, how to build a business, not a job, how to create a business to work without you. I mean, the first P in people, the first P in the 6 Ps is people. You got to have people. You don't build a business, you build people, and people build a business. That's why I'm all for people and all for people getting raises, but I'm not for the government telling us what to do and when we should give raises. I think raises should be earned, and I think employers should give raises. If employees are not getting raises from their company, guess what? There's other companies out there that will be happy to have you and give you a raise. So they will learn the infrastructure, how to build their business on the 6 Ps, which is people, product, processes, proprietary, patrons, and profits. They'll learn how to plan, how to build their exit from the beginning so they get top dollar, to learn about the 5 different types of buyers. They'll learn how to evaluate your business. They'll learn how to normalize financials, how to really look at your numbers and know your KPIs, and how to, when you're ready, create a bidding war on your company and get top dollar, and how some industries sell for others, like SaaS industries. SaaS sells for like a multiple of revenue versus a multiple of EBITDA. So there's so much you'll learn. I have people who've bought Exit Rich that have been in business for 30 years. And like, Michelle, it's the best business book I've ever read. And it's got great techniques, great tips, great strategies. So you can get Exit Rich at exitrichbook.com. Yes, you can get on Amazon, but it's less expensive at exitrichbook.com, $24.79. We'll email you the digital download immediately. June 22nd is the launch date, but you don't have to wait till June 22nd. So we'll email you the digital download immediately, number 1. Number 2, we'll ship the hardcover to your doorstep for no additional shipping. Number 3, we'll give you a lifetime membership to the Exit Rich Book Club, where there's video content and me doing deep dives and different strategies and techniques, plus documents to operate your business, documents to sell your business. So we have sample employee handbooks, org charts, SOP checklists, sample letter of intents. A lot of business owners never seen a letter of intent. Purchase agreements, due diligence checklists, closing docs. All of these documents are there for your review and your download. There's every document you need to operate and sell your company. If you went to an attorney, it would probably cost you over $40,000 to recreate. So that's a huge value.
It's a hell of a,
That's a
hell of a value.
And then we're also giving you a 30-day free membership in the Club CEOs. And Club CEOs is an entrepreneur mastermind where we ask we put people on hot seats and do Q&As and all this stuff to really help business owners build that sustainable, scalable, and when they're ready, sellable business. All for $24.79 at exitrichbook.com. All that goes away after the book launch on June 22nd.
We'll definitely get this before June 22nd. I'll tell you what, that is a hell of a value, though. I've never seen someone come on, and we've had quite a few people come on to promote books and talk about different things, and I've never seen them give away as much for such cheaper price. So, Michelle, I appreciate you coming on. Definitely check it out. Exit Rich. Michelle Seiler Tucker, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. That's exitrichbook.com.